Hi everyone, we are the group number 2 and we are going to present the types of comparison and contrast essay. Now, it's important to understand this type of essay. Make a question. The question is, what are comparison and contrast essay? Comparing is examining how things are similar, while contrasting is seeing how they differ. Therefore, a comparison and contrast essay analyzes the similarity of two or more objects or ideas and the difference between them. This type of essay is frequently used in academic essay in which it is possible to compare, for example, two periods of history, two theories, position, or different investigation. Also, this type of essay is the most difficult to approach and is usually the most illustrative and pedagogical for readers in which new points of view are established, which favor learning and exhaustive analysis of a topic. Now, another important point about this type of essay is to consider different elements, because in this type of essay it is important to establish the element that will be compared and contrasted during the development of the text. The element established basically three possible types of relationship between the object or idea to be compared are considered. The first one has to do with respect to which the author can choose two elements that belong to the same category but have slightly different nuances in their conformation. The second one is the choice of elements that belong to a very different category but have a similar relationship, which serves to compare both entities, surprising readers the possibility. The final element, the author of a comparison and contrast essay can choose two elements that appear to be similar but demonstrate their clear difference during the development of the text. When developing a comparison and contrast essay, your opinion on the element in question becomes your thesis, which is another fundamental element of this type of essay.
To continue with the presentation, we have the respective section of the essay. Once the element to be compared has been chosen, as well as the relationship made based on this process, the author can choose the basic structure of 5 paragraphs in which each one fulfills the function of the containing a part of the essay and the description of the nature of each of those parts. As the first part of the structure, we have the introduction. This part will be addressed in the first paragraph. In this line, the author will comment on its intention as well as the element that he will proceed to compare and contrast without making explicit reference to the relationship that will be established between the entities to be compared, in order to really surprise the reader. It's important to understand that the last sentence established in the introduction is the thesis statement, which is the most specific idea in the introduction. Then we have the respective development or body of the essay, in which the 3 paragraphs following the introduction will be used to establish different comparison and contrast. In this sense, is the second paragraph after the introduction. It can be used to expose each of the elements that will be addressed, describing its first features. In the third paragraph, the author can begin addressing the similarities and differences that arise. Regarding the fourth paragraph of the text, the author must reveal the argument developed based on the comparison and contrast relationship that he has developed throughout the essay. Then, as the last part of the essay section, we have the conclusion. In the last paragraph, the author must make a brief summary of the main ideas addressed during the development of the essay as prelude to exposition of the argument and its conclusion, which should basically be the affirmation of its initial hypothesis.
The characteristics that a good comparison and contrast essay show me are: a good comparison and contrast essay should not only point at how the uses are similar or different, but should use the points to develop a meaningful argument about the uses. Have a 10 sentence. This sentence introduces the idea and the main theme of the paragraph, and can also provide a precision from the ideas in the previous paragraph. And it has to be a good thesis statement that is supported by other ideas, explanation and examples in the introduction, body paragraph, and conclusion. Like most essays, consists of a body, sentence that provide concrete evidence to support the subject sentence and the main idea, and it has a conclusion. Identify the topics and subjects that are clearly compared so that the reader will understand for the first moment the argument of the essay is based. Indicate the purpose of the comparison and establish a clear reason for the comparison ideas. Include similarities and differences in the ideas and support them with specific examples and details. Follow a clear organizational pattern and use transitional words and phrases to clarify relationships between ideas.
Then we will explain the process to develop an essay. First, select subjects. Identify two subjects to compare and contrast. The first step in reading a successful comparison and contrast essay is to choose two subjects that are different enough to compare. Second, characteristics or ideas. Identification of the characteristics of each subject to compare and contrast. Third, compare and contrast. Determine how the characteristics of the two topics are the same or different. Ensure that the uses can be discussed in a meaningful way. 4. Organize. Identify the most appropriate framework and use it to organize the trial. Consider the main points as it will not be possible to provide a list of a similar or different characteristics in your trial instead. Choose a few points that seem to be particularly important. And finally, connecting. This is optional. Connecting the thesis to broader issues and providing reflective comments.
Continue for this video, I'm talking about for essay writing process. There are several ways to organize in comparison and contrast essay. I explained two forms. The first form is the block structure. All the information about for the object begin compared contrast is given first, and all the information about the another object is listed afterward. This type of structure is similar to the block structure used for cause and effect and the problem and solution essay. The another is for the point-by-point structure. It's similar or different for one object and followed immediately by the similar or different for the another object. In this slide, the first box shows the block technique. This is easy to understand. The first one you do an introduction and continue your object 1.1, object 1.2, object 1 and point 3. In the middle you do a transition sentence and paragraph and continue to do a object 2.1, object 2.2 and object 2.3, and the last one you do a conclusion. And the another box is the point by point technique. Is the similar and to do, but introduction point 1, object, the object 2.2, object 1, object 2, and the point 3, object 1 and object 2, and the last one is the conclusion. The difference is for the one you do a object and point, and the another is the only two objects. Continue for the site writing process. The another topics or tips for this part is writing the site. After identifying all the aspects mentioned about the writing process prior in the site and having selected the structure to give it to the site, we move on the writing and the site, which should contain the part mentioned about for example, introduction, the paragraph of the body, or development and the conclusions. This is another topics and talking about for suggestion on how to write the comparison and contrast essay. And comparison and contrast essay are assigned to a student because they can encourage critical thinking, analytical reason, and the organized writing, but their structure and the writing can make a sound suggestion for writing a good comparison and contrast essays. The first example is understand the structure of the comparison and contrast test. Most these essay focus on one of both topics, resulting in a new way of seeing something or showing that on the topic is better than the others. This is another suggestion. Drop a list or a similar and different. Do this on a sheet of paper or in a new document from a word processor. Create 2 columns from the similar of each them and 2 for the different between them. After answer a typical question such as who, what, where, when, why, and how apply this basic question to your topic to get a sense of each them or perspective. Another thing you can do, make a sketch of the site. It will be helpful to solve the main organizational structure and giving a template to follow as you develop your ideas. And the last one, to do a good comparison and contrast essay, it's necessary to know some words of the comparison and contrast structure that are the transition signing or showing similar or different. And this slash are some common examples. And the first column has the word that indicate contrast. For example, however, on the another hand, still, but, to be different from, another that, online, while, and another. The another column has word indicating similarities. For example, as well, also, comparing to, as plus adjective plus as, in the same way that, similar to, in the same concept, and another words.
Continuing with the video so that it's clear how a comparison and contrast essay is developed, we will see an example that we develop as a team using the point-by-point structure explained above. First, the title is present. Here it is important that in the title, the topic sentence is clear. In this case, as we see in the presentation, the topic sentence is the birth of international organization as a fact to guarantee peace and well-being of all. In our presentation, it is underlined in green so that I can be better understood. Our essay is structured in 5 paragraphs. The next step is the introduction of the essay. In this case, we are talking about international organization. A historical context of the appearance is given, and the 2 organizations that will be comparing throughout the essay are identified. In our presentation, the Society of Nations and the Organization of the United Nations have been underlined in green for a better understanding. The thesis statement must be made clear in the introduction that in the presentation is underlined and the end on the presentation. The 2 organizations mentioned above are similar in certain aspects in their general form and are different in their composition as in their structure and the objective that each pursues. After the introduction, the development of the body is passed. In the first paragraph of the body, the similarities between the 2 organizations are mentioned, which is that the objective of both is to maintain international peace and security, and that both are made up of a large number of countries. Words underlined in green are the words that serve as a structure and are used to indicate similarity. The words both and the word similar that indicate similarity between organizations are underlined in the presentation. In the second paragraph of the body, mention is made of the contrast or difference between the organization, in which we mention the number of member states, the form of organization of the organs. We show a clear difference between the complex structure of the United Nations with 193 members and the Society of Nations composed of 63 members. We always underline the structure words, which in this case indicate contrast, as the word however and in contrast. In the third paragraph, we also address the difference in the objectives pursued by each organization. Of the League of Nations, whose objective was the collective security that will guarantee the entity of all states, disarmament and control any conflicts that alter peace. In contrast, the goals of our United Nations are deeper: to maintain international peace and security, to promote friendly relations between nations, to improve the life of the poor, to eradicate hunger, and to promote respect for human rights. As the last aspect of the essay is the conclusion, that the thesis statement has to refer and points out the aspect of similarity and difference between the organizations compared. It can be affirmed that the organization mentioned in their essence seek to maintain international peace and guarantee the well-being of each community. Although it is true that there are certain similarities with respect to the formation of a large number of countries and seek rapprochement among them to dispute resolution. In addition, there are differences in terms of composition, structure, and the objective they pursue.
Comparison in reading discusses elements that are similar, while contrast in reading discusses elements that are different. A compare and contrast essay then analyzes two subjects by comparing them, contrasting them, or both. The key to a good compare and contrast essay is to choose two or more subjects that connect in a meaningful way. The purpose of conducting the comparison and contrast is not to essay the obvious, but rather to illuminate such a difference or unexpected similarities. Drawing decisions between elements in a similar category will increase the audience's understanding of the category, which is the purpose of the compare and contrast essay. Similarity, to focus on comparison, shows two subjects that seem at first to be unrelated. The more divergent the two subjects initially seem, the more interesting a comparison essay will be. A good comparison and contrast essay not only points out how the themes are similar or different, or even both, but uses those points to make a meaningful argument about the themes.